Hey, hello. My name is Gonzalo, and I want to make a quick video in where I want to discuss the uppercut and why the uppercut, of course, in my opinion, is such a dangerous punch to get caught with. Right? The uppercut is a very effective punch to throw. I would say more like delivered. All other punches are thrown, but a uppercut is delivered. So an uppercut is very dangerous because it's unpredictable. It basically comes out of nowhere. When I say nowhere, it comes from underneath you and usually in between your gloves. So especially for taller fighters, the uppercut poses more of a threat because their uppercut has a higher ceiling, right? Because as they punch through the target, by the time their punch drives through past the target, which is probably your head or mine, right? Their arms are going to catch up to where usually their body sits, which is at a higher position than yours. So especially for a tall fighter, the uppercut is a very important punch to possess and to develop. For anybody listening to this video, I would certainly recommend that you learn how to throw an effective uppercut. Because that's not to say that a short man can't throw a good uppercut. But for a tall fighter, like I mentioned, they have a higher ceiling. Now, we got a good opportunity at witnessing two tall fighters throw very good uppercuts just this last Saturday, and prior to that, we got to see Sebastian Fundora as well versus St. Lubin. So, yeah, Tyson Fury versus Dillian White, good example. He punched past the target as he connected. The glove slid off that many of you thought it was glancing. No, it was effective, but he just threw it past through to where by the time it caught up, to where Tyson Fury's body sits, he's driving that punch up. And Sebastian Fundora as well, with Lubin, 6'7", facing a 5'8" fighter. Obviously, that uppercut's just generating like a lot of force because he's commencing to punch where usually your head might be sitting at the sweet spot. That, like, for me, as a shorter man, yeah, I can certainly throw a good uppercut well past my head. But how far up as my arm is bending, like in the curl position, as I'm punching up, can I drive that hand up and through where my body sits? Yeah, I could go well past my head, but by how much? With a taller man, like I mentioned, that ceiling is higher. But that's not the reason just alone, especially for a tall fighter. That's what gives it that extra where it puts it in a special place, that it's got more potential. But that also the reason for everybody, if you want to develop a great uppercut, that an uppercut is particularly dangerous, is because the punch comes out of nowhere, right? The uppercut comes out of nowhere. It comes in between your gloves, from underneath you, to where we usually are conditioned to look to our front, and, to our left and to our right, or to our right or to our left. Because as people, we obviously want to be like situationally aware of what's going on in our surroundings. But as fighters, yes, you have to expect the unexpected, and also you have to stare in the possibility of a punch like an uppercut. But that punch is usually coming out of nowhere, and it's very unpredictable because with most all other punches, you'll see the body giving away certain signals to tell you that that punch is flying down your way. Okay? For example, we'll leave the uppercut out of this conversation right now, since the uppercut is so unpredictable that we got to mention why all the other punches are more visible, to make that comparison on why this is the secret weapon in the uppercut. So with all the other punches, as I'm facing you and you're facing me, because you do want to carry your hands up. As you're holding your gloves high in your traditional boxing stance, whether you're lefty or righty, right? you got that jab hand usually sticking out further in front, right, of your other hand, because with that jab hand, you want to get rid of it quicker, right? You want to pop it in my face, right? You want to hit me with that. You want to impair my vision so you can come through with another punch behind that jab. You want to score points. You want to use it as a flagpole too, where you can control me, or even as a benchmarker where you can place all your other punches based off using that jab hand as a guide. But nonetheless, if that is the hand that is sticking out the most in front of my face, I can clearly see that hand that is not categorized as a power punch, that I can probably take better than all the other punches. But also, like I mentioned, I can see it because it's right there. And yeah, it might surprise me. It might pop me quicker, and I might not be able to anticipate it as much as the other ones, like I mentioned, because it's closer to me. But nonetheless, it's there. Right, so we're gonna discard that punch because, you know, for the most part, I can see it. As far as me making the explanation on why the uppercut is more unpredictable than all these other punches. So that's, as far as the jab, that's understood. With the right cross, let's say, for example, you're a right-hander, so you got the jab, but then you're throwing that right cross behind that jab. That's usually the hand that you right with, that you developed at a young age, you know, and that's your strong hand, to where you're turning that punch as you're throwing it. As it's coming from afar, you know, from downtown to midtown to front down, yeah, there's a delivery to generate that power to turn that hand forward, right? So if you look at the big picture, there's a twisting of the hips, you know, a twisting of the hips, even the turning of the foot as you spin off that ball of the back foot, you know, to turn that torso and throw that shoulder. So once you see that shoulder advance, man, you know that the punch is left to station. So it doesn't mean that all these punches, aside from the uppercut, you're always going to be able to see them clearly. But certainly as the fight is progressing and the fighter is getting tired, and if he's not able to throw a proper punch, yeah, those punches will give more of a signal. You'll be able to notice them, and that's why they call it, when a fighter telegraphs his shots, especially if he's loading up when that punch is being thrown, right? So a right hand, if a fighter wants to throw with power, a lot of times he gets overzealous, and as he cocks back, yeah, you could step in and punch, but also you can notice when the punch is coming down your way. And sometimes if you can't get away from the punch, whether it's getting away from the punch or blocking the punch, you'll have enough warning time to be able to condition your body to withstand the punch, you know, to tighten down on your core, if you know, to tighten down on your body and clench down on your gum shield to be able to receive that punch and be able to take it better. Because as humans, you know, we usually can, when bullets are flying down our way, you know, our instinct to preserve ourselves kicks in. And you might not have time to react, but as soon as you see something coming down your way, the body will kind of naturally brace itself to receive the incoming fire. You know, especially if you got some other man punching you, you know, a two-fisted assault is like, man, you know, you will do anything you can to protect yourself. Just like in nature, you know, armadillos and turtles got a shell. Yeah, we got a shell too, right? Put your gloves up and take the punches. But with the uppercut, it's different. So that's pretty much speaking about why a right cross, you know, will give you somewhat of a warning. Okay, especially if a fighter's getting tired and is not throwing properly. But before I get to why the uppercut is different, let's speak about the hook or hooks. Yeah, okay. The lead hook, like a Ryan Garcia, is very dangerous because it's basically swiping you like the opening of a freaking tablet. You swipe to the left, you swipe to the right. If you're left or right-handed, and bam, you deliver a lot of power. That's why I thought why Dillian White would be dangerous, but it turns out that he loads a lot up with that lead left that is very wide, and he telegraphs it, so it's nothing that was going to surprise a fighter like Tyson Fury. But usually when you're turning a hook, if I go under and around when you're punching me, that I'm coming under or around, and I'm placing my body as I'm contorting my body to get under your punch, I'm pretty much already twisting my body in such a way that I can uncork, I can unwind my hook. Once I put my body in place to punch, whether it was by incorporating my defense with my offense, that I dipped under and around your punch, or slipped the punch that where I'm basically just dropping forward in a slant to where I'm in position to like uncork my punch. Hey, that's also an indication that a fighter's getting ready to throw a powerful hook, right? Aside from maybe like the lead hook with that one lead hand, yeah, that's what they call the Manila Ice. But nonetheless, there's a great indicator when a fighter's gonna throw a hook, especially a powerful one. But yeah, the lead hook is very dangerous. I would say that punch is the second most dangerous punch after the uppercut. But with the uppercut, the difference between that punch and all the other punches is you can disguise the delivery. I would say that most punches are thrown, but an uppercut is delivered, right? Yeah, and in regards to this uppercut, why is it more dangerous than all the other punches? Because I've mentioned the Manila Ice, whether you're left or right, that lead left hook like a Dillian White's, or that lead left like a Ryan Garcia, that swiping punch, that's it's basically a quick punch because you're keeping that hand already forwardly extended, which is that jab, but you could put that turn ever so slightly where you can throw with power, and it will really surprise you. And if you got a good lead, especially if you're converted, that could really, really surprise your opponent. But I would put that second to the uppercut, because with that lead, either you get rid of it or you don't. If you're gonna throw it, you're gonna throw it early, or you're gonna throw it and you're gonna try to catch your opponent and surprise him as he's coming in. So yeah, make no mistake, that's very dangerous. But the uppercut, you can deliver that punch and kind of set traps to where you can kind of throw it unexpectedly whenever you want. You could inch forward and all of a sudden get your opponent in a false state of confidence to step in. And as you're slightly bouncing up and down and you're bending the knees and you get a foothold once again of the canvas and you spring up, like I mentioned, it's like the Jack in the Box with timing and a certain degree of like I'm setting a trap, and all of a sudden it pops up and it will really turn your world upside down. Yes, especially because we're not used to getting caught in that safety, in that bubble from something coming in between the gloves under us, And when something hits you and you don't see it, for when you don't see it, you did not expect it will short circuit the brain. You never thought that it was going to come, or all of a sudden it hit you. And yeah, and as we're trading punches with the uppercut, we're locking horns, so to speak, and we're exchanging shots. Because a lot of times you will exchange shots. In boxing, you're going to trade punches. Or I'm going to hit you and you're going to hit me back. And sometimes I'm going to be willing to take a punch from you, right? Or two, so I can punch in between yours. And with the natural, like the tiredness and the hunching of the back and the slumping of the shoulders, and the natural like bend in the knees that you want to have to put spring under your punches, but it also comes with the territory of you getting a little tired, but as you're still moving and keeping it mobile and touching up and down off the canvas. and with the tiredness of the arm that sometimes you might be dropping, hey, all of a sudden you can spring up and throw an uppercut with power, right? And if I'm taller than you, or if like you're taller than me, and my head is sitting at a location where as you're driving that punch pass through above the target, which is my head, because you're taller, your punch has a higher ceiling to climb. That my head might be sitting once again in that sweet spot. That uppercut is a real dangerous punch to throw on your own terms, right? Compared to maybe a lead uppercut, which is usually when you're making a mistake, and if you're taller and you're taking advantage of the dimensions as a fighter steps in and you can clip them because you're fresh. No, the uppercut, you can even be tired. And like I said, you can deliver the hammer and bring that punch where it's going to come from underneath and between your gloves that you're not going to see it coming, right? So I thought I'd throw all that information, kind of jumble it in there because it's important. I'm tired. But, you know, what you might kind of wonder, hey, well, why is this guy, why am I so repetitive? Nah, because to me, well, for one, boxing is repetitive, and it's all about sometimes having to, like, understand one thing over and over again to, like, be able to get it, to finally, like, get it. Or just to keep it fresh in your memory, or to kind of like when you're going to do it over and over again, you're going to become better by understanding it and practicing it daily. So it might be a little too redundant and whatnot, but it's kind of necessary. In the end of the day, I think if somebody's really interested in listening to what I have to say, you'll be happier for it. Because if you're looking for that certain information that sometimes you can't get when a conversation is flowing, I think this is the perfect platform for me to share that. Because sometimes, yeah, it's all about picking up that gem, you know, that sometimes you might need. And like when somebody's saying something, that some other conversation wouldn't allow that, because, allow for that. Because in the bigger platforms, there's a lot of things going on, right? So sometimes, you know, we can pick things up where we least expect it, and it's something that I believe it's important to share, right? So thanks for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one later.